Welcome to Movies in the Making. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the 2012 superhero action film The Avengers, originally released by Paramount Pictures and directed by Joss Whedon. Here, we will dive deep into the story of the production of this film. As the final film for Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the successes of the previous films all led to this. And what better way to conclude Phase 1 on such a high note than so much effort and commitment to this film, especially as it helps set up the MCU as a whole. If you would like to hear about how more films were done behind the scenes, please like down below and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Now, sit back and enjoy the show. You are all in for a heroic ride. The idea for a film based on the Avengers began taking shape even before Iron Man hit theaters in 2008. Zach Penn, a screenwriter hired by Marvel as early as 2006, had been tracking the development of individual superhero films in anticipation for a crossover event. While Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was cautious early on, the success of Iron Man 2008, Thor 2011, and Captain America: The First Avenger, also 2011, gave Marvel the confidence to greenlit an Avengers film. Though Jon Favreau was initially a natural contender to direct, financial and creative disputes led Marvel to ultimately choose Joss Whedon, who had a strong background in ensemble storytelling. Whedon discarded much of Penn's original script and started from scratch, crafting a new narrative that successfully united the different heroes. Though best known at the time for his cult TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly, Whedon had experience working with established universes and was respected for his ability to balance action and emotional depth. Whedon drew inspiration from many films including The Dirty Dozen, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, 1967, Dr. Strangelove, Columbia Pictures, 1964, Black Hawk Down, Columbia Pictures, 2001, and even His Girl Friday, Columbia Pictures, 1940. To shape the Avengers into a dynamic blend of action, comedy, and drama. In an interview with Thrillist, he explained that while he once saw the Marvel team as a group of mismatched characters lacking emotional cohesion, he realized that their disconnection was the very essence of the story, much like The Dirty Dozen. He aimed to create a cinematic blender of influences, referencing everything from sci-fi spectacles to war films, with Black Hawk Down serving as the key emotional touchstone for portraying the relentless pressure and toll of battle on soldiers, which helped ground the superhero chaos in real emotional stakes. Edward Norton, who played Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk, Universal Pictures 2008, was not asked to return for The Avengers. Although Norton had given a strong performance, his involvement in the film's script and post-production led to creative clashes with Marvel. When it came to assemble the Avengers, Marvel publicly announced that they were recasting the role due to a desire for someone who fit better with a collaborative ensemble. Norton's team claimed the decision was financially motivated, but regardless of the reasoning, Mark Ruffalo was brought on and introduced as the Hulk during the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con. Ruffalo's version of the character ultimately became a fan favorite and a core part of the Avengers team in future films. Loki was chosen as the main villain for the film in what was considered a bold and risky move by Marvel Studios. At the time, using a returning villain from a solo film, especially one who only had a personal connection to Thor, there were concerns that Loki might not resonate with audiences if Thor had not succeeded, but the gamble paid off thanks to Tom Hiddleston's compelling performance and strong chemistry with the rest of the cast. Loki's role expanded from being just Thor's adversary to a threat that united all of the Avengers, making his impact felt across the entire team. His return also stayed true to comic book origins, where Loki was the first villain the Avengers faced. Hiddleston's portrayal turned Loki into a fan favorite and recurring presence in the MCU, especially to his own successful Disney Plus original show. The Avengers was primarily filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but several key sequences were shot in other locations, most notably Cleveland, Ohio, and New York City. Cleveland played a major role in the production due to Ohio's film tax credits and the support of the Greater Cleveland Film Commission, which helped attract Marvel Studios. The city doubled for New York during the film's climatic Battle of New York, and also stood for intentional locations like Stuttgart, Germany. The production brought a significant economic boost to Ohio, employing hundreds of local crew members and extras, and was hailed by Governor John Kasich as the largest film project in the state's history, a major milestone for Ohio's film industry. Other scenes were additionally shot across the US, including Pennsylvania. A chase scene was filmed near Pittsburgh at Creekside Mushroom Farms, where the vast, abandoned limestone tunnels provide a unique subterranean setting. In Cleveland, filming locations include East 9th Street, Public Square, the Detroit Superior Bridge, the Chevrolet powertrain plants in Parma, and NASA's Plum Brook Station in Sandusky, which served as a SHIELD research facility. Real Army Reserve soldiers from Ohio's 391st Military Police Battalion were used in some scenes to beautiful authenticity, even influencing tactical decisions on set. These diverse and practical locations help ground the film's larger-than-life action in real-world settings. The US Department of Defense was initially consulted for the film to ensure the portrayal of SHIELD and military elements were all realistic. However, the Department of Defense ultimately backed out the project. Bill Strub, the Pentagon's Hollywood liaison, explained they could not reconcile the concept of SHIELD as an international organization with the Department of Defense's own operations. The question of who SHIELD answered to posed a significant challenge, leading to the Department's defense to withdraw their support for the film. One of the standout moments features Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson, interrogated by thugs, only to effortlessly take them down while tied to a chair. However, this iconic scene was not always meant for her. Initially, the script had Hawkeye being the one interrogated, but Whedon decided to change it, creating a more fitting introduction for Black Widow. This change, made by Whedon and writer Zach Penn, proved to be a fan favorite, as it is hard to imagine anyone but Black Widow owning the moment with such style and power. Despite the prestige of joining the MCU, Jeremy Renner was initially dissatisfied with how his character, Hawkeye, was being portrayed during filming, to the point where he even requested that his character be killed off so the actor could pursue other creative projects. However, his frustrations eventually faded, and he embraced the role more fully, so much so that he later reprised Hawkeye in multiple MCU films and began filming the Disney Plus original shows centered on the character. During filming, Robert Downey Jr. became known for hiding food around the set, a quirky habit he has carried over to other film projects as well. According to Vincent D'Onofrio, a co-star for The Judge, Warner Bros. 2014, Downey stashes snacks in various places on set for reasons that, while unclear, somehow make perfect sense. This on-set behavior is reportedly tolerated by directors, as it adds a touch of humor and spontaneity during long shooting days. In fact, some scenes in the Avengers where Tony Stark is seen eating, including one where he offers blueberries to Captain America, were not scripted at all. They simply featured Downey snacking from his personal stash and improvising in character. The cast often passed time between takes by playing Boggle, a game they enjoyed during downtime. Chris Evans shared that while the game was a regular activity on set for this film and later ones of the MCU, there was one surprising twist. Paul Rudd, who would later portray Ant-Man, was always the champion, and Don Cheadle consistently placed a close second. However, Mark Ruffalo, despite his poor Boggle skills, stood out by adding an unlikely word, asbestos, to his list, even though he only managed to come up with 2 words overall. This quirky moment became a fun and unexpected part of their experience. Hiddleston made the risky decision to ask his co-star Chris Hemsworth to actually hit him in the face during a scene where Thor strikes Loki. Hiddleston wore heavy horns that made it difficult to convincingly sell the hit. He believed that a real punch would make the scene more authentic. However, as soon as Hemsworth's fist connected with his face, Hiddleston instantly regretted his decision, admitting that it was a terrible idea. Hiddleston later acknowledged that while such moments may work on stage for repeated performances, being hit by Hemsworth day after day would be unsustainable. Visual effects for the film were an enormous collaborative effort involving over 2,200 VFX shots produced by 14 different companies, with Industrial Light and Magic leading the charge. Industrial Light and Magic was responsible for many of the film's key visual elements, including the helicarrier, the digital New York skyline, Iron Man, and the Hulk. To bring the Hulk to life, actor Ruffalo wore a motion capture suit and performed on set with other cast members, while Industrial Light and Magic used facial and body capture data to create a realistic CGI Hulk that closely mirrored Ruffalo's appearance and expressions, even down to details like his eyes and teeth. Unlike the more cartoonish version in earlier films, this Hulk aimed for a more grounded, lifelike presence. Industrial Light and Magic also built a highly detailed digital model of Manhattan, covering roughly 10 by 4 city blocks, using extensive on-site photography and location rights managed by the production team. Although there were early plans to include Oscorp Tower from The Amazing Spider-Man, Columbia Pictures 2012, in the skyline, it was ultimately dropped due to the completion status of the digital landscape. Other visual effects companies each tackled specific sequences. Weta Digital took over Iron Man animation during the forest battle scene and had to adapt Industrial Light and Magic's models to fit their own workflow, with special attention paid to replicating Iron Man's reflective armor. Scanline VFX created helicarrier reveal shots, while Evil Eye Pictures handled green screen composites for interior helicarrier scenes. Hydraulics contributed to the early scenes, including Loki's arrival on Earth, and Luma Pictures focused on the helicarrier's bridge displays developed by Cantina Creative. Fuel VFX managed effects on Stark Tower, and Digital Domain created the asteroid sequence with Loki and the Ever. Meanwhile, Method Design in Los Angeles crafted the film's all-CGI closing credits, designing unique environments and a custom Avengers typeface, transforming Marvel-provided assets into a polished, stylized sequence that capped off the film's visual spectacle. Alan Silvestri became the composer for this film after previously scoring Captain America: The First Avenger, which caught the attention of Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and director Joss Whedon. According to Silvestri himself, they invited him to help craft a unifying musical identity for the newly formed team, aiming for a heroic theme that could support the group dynamic rather than focusing on individual character motifs. Silvestri approached the challenge by creating a bold, brass-filled melody supported by energetic strings, first developed during a key moment in the film when the Avengers assemble in battle. This theme became iconic and carried through the film's sequels, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and Endgame, providing a musical cohesion across the entire franchise. Silvestri emphasized simplicity and restraints in using the theme to avoid overwhelming the film's emotional and narrative balance, ultimately helping to define the sonic identity of the MCU's flagship team. The decision to capture Thanos in the post-credits scene came from Whedon himself. While Kevin Feige suggested that the film could involve aliens, the specifics were left up to Whedon, who had long admired Thanos as a cosmic and formidable villain. Whedon saw Thanos as a complex character, both powerful and intriguingly obsessed with death, which made him an ideal figure to subtly introduce at the end of the film. At the time, Thanos was not part of a grand master plan for the MCU, but his appearance laid the groundwork for the epic Infinity War saga that would unfold years later. The Shawarma sing for the post-credits scene was filmed after the film itself had already premiered. Initially, the film had wrapped up production, and the cast had gone their separate ways. However, Whedon realized that they would all be together for the premiere, so they decided to film the humorous post-credits scene with the Avengers eating shawarma. By the time the scene was shot, Evans had grown facial hair for another role, so prosthetics were used to cover his beard. The scene was added to the film after completion, and it became a fun moment that unexpectedly boosted shawarma sales after the film's release. Despite the Walt Disney Company's ownership of Marvel, the film was nevertheless distributed by Paramount Pictures due to a deal made before Disney acquired Marvel. In 2009, Disney struck an agreement with Paramount to handle the marketing and distribution of several Marvel films, including the Avengers, in exchange for a share at the box office revenue. As part of the deal, Paramount earned a percentage of the film's earnings and retained rights to be included in the film's marketing materials, which later took over full control of Marvel, wanted to maintain the focus on Marvel Studios. But Paramount still received credit on materials like posters and trailers, even though Disney would handle the overall distribution moving forward. This arrangement also extended to pay TV rights, with Paramount's Epix network, now owned by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and named MGM+, holding those for the Avengers, while Disney's platforms would distribute the film in theaters. As of the 14th of April, 2025, The Avengers has a 91% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 69 out of 100 critics score on Metacritic, an 8.0 rating on IMDb, and a 3.7 rating on Letterboxd. The film's budget was $220 million and it grossed a total of over $1.5 billion following its initial release date of the 25th of April 2012, becoming the highest-grossing film of 2012 and the very first Marvel feature adaptation to gross over $1 billion through ticket sales. And that wraps up our deep dive into the making of The Avengers. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all things movies in the making. Let us know in the comments what you think of The Avengers, or if you have any favorite moments from a film we did not touch upon, or what films you would like to hear covered by this channel. Also be sure to check out our community page where we announce what films will be talked about by this channel each week. New posts arrive every Friday. Or Saturday if we forget to post on Friday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Movies in the Making, where we'll be talking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail, EMI Films, 1975, and more films to follow along the way. Tune in for more Movies in the Making as we uncover stories by cinema's most unforgettable films. This has been Jason Scotchmer, film enthusiast and passionate about the arts.